What's up, everybody? Coach Ceelo here, and today we have got a very special guest, a good friend of mine that we follow each other on social media, and we touch base every once in a while. But it's been a while, man. It's been a while. I don't see you here in front of me in person. And this gentleman, he's a serial entrepreneur, a man of God, the go-to realtor from Miami all the way up to Cape Coral. Business owner over 10 years, and he's currently building his team of six-figure plus entrepreneurs. My good friend, Oscar Arroliga. How you doing, man?
Good, my brother. Good. Thank you so much for that introduction. It means a lot to know somebody from the past and see you come with this beautiful idea of this six-figure podcast. I'm very proud of your production. This is amazing. This is my first podcast.
So, oh, wow.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to spend some time with you. It's the No BS podcast, so we're going to keep it 100.
Let's keep it real, yeah.
And, bro, I'm super excited to be here again. Thank you for the opportunity, and looking forward to,
Sure.
Sharing some thoughts.
So, all right, man, I always just like to jump right in, right? So here you are, very, very successful realtor right now in this moment of your life. Everything is popping, right? And even in social media, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, exciting stuff that's happening in your life right now. But what I always like to give my viewers is an idea of how Oscar Arroliga became the Oscar Arroliga that we have in front of us right now.
That's a deep question.
Yep.
I'll say that in regards to who I am today, every day has built the person that I am today. My parents originated from Nicaragua. They came here as illegals. They got their citizenship, and just knowing my parents' history, knowing where they came from, mud floors, back then there was no electricity like how we have electricity now. But just very, very humble beginnings. And as a young kid of 7, 8 years old, I would get to travel to Nicaragua. I'd get to experience my summer vacations with my cousins, climb trees and eat mangoes, right? And just live a different lifestyle.
Country lifestyle.
Country lifestyle that was not accessible here in the U.S. When I would come back, I would be thankful for electricity. Thankful for hot showers, thankful for things that a lot of us take for granted. And so just understanding their story and their struggles and their sacrifices, to give my sister, Kimberly, and me a better life, that's definitely the root of where I am today and also where I'm going. My dad told me one thing that his father told him, and that was, at a job, you have a salary, you have consistency, Friday's coming, you're going to get paid. But as a business owner, you can make $1 today or $1 million tomorrow. And so once he told me that, it always stuck with me. And then I've been chasing that $1 million ever since.
Glad to hear it, man. So how did you progress from a young boy, son of immigrants, right? Like, you get out of school, right? And then how did you eventually land? Now, I know part of the story. Obviously, yeah. We know each other back from our network marketing days, right?
Right.
But we were all part of the team. Shout out to Max Knowles, who's also on the podcast, right?
Yes, sir.
And all our other friends that are going to be coming on here.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, how did you progress from that into the entrepreneur that I've got in front of me right now?
So my original plan in high school was I went on Google.com, right? And I Googled what was the highest paying job. And I always had a passion for aviation, but pilot was like down there in the list. But number one highest paying job was air traffic control. So I said, okay, immediately I'm gonna become an air traffic controller. I'm going to make money and I'm gonna play Monopoly. I'm gonna buy real estate. I figured that was the best route to go. At 16, 17, And that's all I knew at the time. All I knew was, okay, I have to trade my time for money. So let's do it with a high paying job. And initially that's what I had in mind. So I had a part-time job at AutoZone, and that part-time job turned into full-time. How you do anything is how you do everything, right? How we've learned this before. And so I always treated every single job with respect, customer service, putting the client's need in front of ours. And so at AutoZone, I progressed through the ranks. I became a shift manager, went from $7.50 an hour to $7.62, right? Then from $7.62 went up to $10 to $10.50. And then by the age of 21, they gave me the opportunity to lead a store as a store manager. So I became a store manager.
That changes a bit, yeah.
That changes everything, because along the way, I met people that wanted good things to happen for me. And I also found favor with them. And, in life, you got to be ready for the opportunity. And I will say there's a little bit of luck as well.
Absolutely.
So when both of them meet, good things happen. And so I was ready for that time, and have a good friend, Anthony Pla, who helped put my name out there for an assistant store manager position. I was able to land that. I was there for 6 months. Manager took vacations. The store didn't skip a beat. It did better. And so a new regional manager from Texas came. He gave me the opportunity at 21 years old to lead a team of over 8 employees. Now, mind you, he didn't give me a pot of gold. He gave me a store off of 6th Ave, Northeast 6th Ave, and 163rd by the Krispy Kreme donuts. And to say that it was at the bottom is being very considerate. Not only physically, but on all the KPIs, all the key performing indicators, the store was at the bottom. And coincidentally, right, how life works sometimes, I started my ACN journey. I started to learn about business. And so I started to understand things that I never understood before. I understood the 5 levels of leadership by John Maxwell. I started reading books, something that I never really liked. I started to do. And so once my mind started going with leadership, I started to help my team in their roles. And so I remember the first day that I started, I had a meeting, right? I had a meeting. I gathered my troops and I talked to them. And I said, hey, listen, my name's Oscar. I'm the youngest one here. You guys are all older. I respect you. But what this store has produced is not what you're capable of. And so I really had a heart-to-heart. I looked everybody in the eye, and I made sure that they understood that I meant business. Like, we're here to progress, not to digress. And so one thing led to another. They caught my vision. I talked about promotions, salary increases, and the store started to do better immediately. The next week, we went from like 120 to like top 50.
Wow.
The week after that, top 10. It was a conversation that the regional manager was starting to have, like, I made the right choice. I gambled on this young kid and I made the right choice. And so different KPIs started showing, again, progression, top 10, top 15, top 20. And we took a store from the bottom that was like the laughing stock in AutoZone, and we made it known. And so I was able to promote store managers from that same store. They got their increases in their hourly pay. And it was just the beginning, I guess, of my journey at that time. And a lot of it stems from ACN, Dynasty, and I know that was the best school, that university that we went to.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And so we learned so much, so I want to say a lot of it stems from, again, where I'm at today is because of so many variables, but just looking for wisdom in the right places and searching for the right mentorship, And being a part of ACN definitely helped build the foundation to where I'm at today.
Well, clearly mindset was there, and then the personal development journey, and then you becoming a leader and kind of turning everybody else onto mindset and personal development. Well, guess what? Now it just wasn't you rolling that rock up the hill. It was you and your team rolling the rock up the hill, and clearly that did it. All right, so tell me, so you start network marketing and you're at this leadership position. They both kind of feeding into each other, right? In terms of your personal growth and personal development. And then what happens next?
So what happens next is I fall out of love with AutoZone. Business takes over in my mind. My dad tells me, you can't quit your job. You know, he tells me when a monkey jumps from one branch to the next branch, he doesn't let go. You know, he has one secured and then he goes to the next. Well, you know, I didn't listen because obviously I thought I knew more. And so I had great success in ACN, but there came a moment where success was nowhere to be found. And so at that point, I had no job. I had quit AutoZone because I thought I was on my way.
Right.
You know, and reality hit. I wasn't on my way. You know, I started to go backwards, which is okay, but I was going through life not knowing what to expect. And so I learned the hard way.
At this point, you're still single?
Yes.
No kids yet, none of that, right?
At this point, actually with Karina, who's now my wife.
Okay.
At the time, we were dating. And yeah.
So there's a little pressure.
Yeah.
You know, starting to form.
Definitely pressure
right?
to produce as a man.
Yeah.
You know, even a boyfriend at the time, you know, you want to give the best to somebody you love.
Sure.
So definitely financial pressure starts to kick in during that time frame.
Okay. And what happens next?
And so, you know, I had some problems with my dad. You know, he's very tough on me, and I admire for everything he did for me, including this tough love session where he removes the truck that I have. He had given me a Toyota Tundra. It was, if anybody in ACN saw it, you know, it was a silver pickup. And so he takes it away from me. And I literally have Karina, Mariah, which is my daughter, and we have to take her to school walking because I have no vehicle.
Oh, that's rough, man.
Yeah, so we take her maybe like 2-3 miles walking for 2 weeks until, you know, eventually, I'm not sure what happened, but I got the truck back. And during this time, I'm in the whirlwind of I don't want a job, but I need a job because I have to pay bills. I have to be a man. I have to provide. But at the same time, I think I'm better than a job. So it's a mental cluster F of just trying to grow through life, but things are not going your way. And so I'm lost, you know, I'm confused. I could have sworn I was going to make $1 million through ACN, and I was on my way and I didn't know what happened, and I was just confused. I didn't know what to do. And so at that point, I reached out to Frankie. Shout out to Frankie, another member in ACN. And, you know, he had talked to me about this. He had put something on Facebook about a job. So, you know, I put my ego to the side. I listened to Karina, found a job. This job was great because it dealt with sales. And at this particular company, we were pretty much going door to door with personal injury attorneys and showing them the value that we had as a clinic for them to refer us their personal injury clients. And so I wouldn't even call it a clinic. It was a lot bigger than just a clinic, a standard clinic. You know, they had the MRI machines and they had the doctors in-house. So they really provided a lot of value to clients that needed much more than just physical therapy. And so at that point, I started to learn another skill that I didn't know that I needed. And that was to have confidence in talking to personal injury attorneys and letting them know, hey, listen, we're valuable. We have 5 locations, growing to 6. We have, I forgot the name of the doctor, but we have different doctors that can help your clients, and it's all in-house. We don't have to refer nobody out. So when you're dealing with somebody, it's just one person, you know? So we gave them the value, and I remember there's a big attorney named Alex Hanna. Alex Hanna was on my list.
I remember, man. There was a time in Miami where he was on all the billboards. He was the ticket guy, the ticket attorney.
Guy. He was the ticket guy.
As a matter of fact, I think I might have used him once or twice.
Yeah. I've definitely used them several times. Sorry.
Shout out to Alex Hanna.
Shout out to Alex Hanna. So Alex Hanna has this, he hasn't done any personal injury. But either way, he was in my list. And so I had the opportunity to door knock. And eventually, no, he's not doing personal injury. He's not doing personal injury. I have him on my list. A month goes by, 2 months go by. I'm sending emails. I'm dropping off donuts, to the front desk ladies. I'm trying
This is a lesson in follow-up, guys.
I'm trying to persist, in different ways to get to meet Alex Hanna. And, think about it. His office is it's super big. It's in Southwest 8th Street in that area. And the whole entire floor is I believe the whole building is his now. And just to get to him or to see him or anything, it was very difficult. But then after 3-4 months, I get a call. And it wasn't him, but it was his assistant. And she scheduled a meeting for me.
Wow.
So a lot of months.
The donuts worked.
Shout out to Duncan. The donuts worked. And so after so many months of trying and it was, again, a little bit of luck, but it was also preparation and skill that allowed me to get this meeting. And so I'm relatively new to the company, right? I have a good basic understanding of the company. I'm able to articulate my thoughts with the attorneys, but we're talking about Alex Hanna, right? Anybody now can still look him up and be like, wow, how do you talk to a shark, somebody whose name is out there, and show him enough value to say, you know what, I'm going to send you business. So guess what happens? I go to his office. He has this big, big office.
This is your Shark Tank moment.
This is my Shark Tank moment, right? This is where I throw the pitch. And Alex Hanna, real cool guy. He's like, so tell me a little bit about Citi Med Group. Explain to me. And so I start giving him everything. And then he tells me, so you're going to be working with me. You're going to be my representative. I'm going to be able to trust you. I'm going to be able to. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be here for you. Looked him in his eyes again. I told him, look, you have my direct cell phone. Your assistant has my direct cell phone. I'm here to make sure your clients are taken care of. That's all he needed to hear. And that was it. The very next day, he sent us 12 clients. Like that.
Wow.
The very next day. And for that month, we were getting paid bonuses for every client that we attracted through our attorneys. I was the number 1 agent that month, and I was 4 months in. So I'm like, wow.
Flying high.
Yeah, I'm flying high. I landed the shark, I landed this big deal. Felt amazing. My confidence starts to build up again, because, again, where I was 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, that drop, man. That drop is hard for everybody. We've all been there.
Exactly. But now I'm starting to get a little bit of confidence back. I landed this big guy. Shout out to Alex Hanna again. And he doesn't know what he did for me, but he did a lot for me that day. So I requested a photo, took a photo, and it just reminded me, okay, if Alex can work with me, I can work with anybody, And then from there, we had some political differences within the company that I was working for. They wanted to distribute certain attorneys that had already sent us business and give it to others that had done really well in the company as well. But I didn't think that, that I needed my clients, my attorneys to go to somebody else.
No, you brought them in.
In essence, my paycheck was going to get cut. So I remembered, having conversations with my dad, and he told me, there's two options in life. You can have your headaches or other people's headaches. Might as well have your own headaches. And that reminded me, that moment right there was like, I worked so hard. I landed a shark. I landed more than just Alexander, but I was able to bring in business, and then now it's being taken away from me. But it's not my business. So what can I do?
Yeah.
I'm powerless. I have no power to do anything. So at that point, I made a decision, and I said, this is the last time that somebody takes away something from me, because although I feel entitled to it, it's really not mine. So moving forward, I start to pray. I start to ask God, hey, God, like, I really need you to help me bring destiny to me.
Give me a hint. Just a hint.
So I start to pray. I shower. I remember showering, and I'm in my thoughts, and I'm praying, and I'm in my thoughts, and I'm praying. An idea comes to my mind. The idea was, or the question was really, what tools do you have available right now? And I said, I have the truck, the pickup truck, the Toyota Tundra. That's about it. What other things did I have? I didn't have anything else. So I said, okay, so what can I do on the pickup truck? And I started to think, and then an idea came, and it was car wash, mobile car wash. Well, you know what? That's good, but there's a lot of mobile car washes. So then I said, no, I got to think deeper. What is something that I can do that nobody's doing similar to the car wash? And guess what happens? I get an answer. Mobile oil changes. The idea comes in the shower, taking a shower, and mobile oil changes. Okay, cool. I could do that. Because an oil change really takes about 15, 20 minutes max.
But you got to raise the car, right?
You do got to raise the car. That's probably what takes the longest, to be honest, because the work under
But you
the
would
car,
do it anywhere.
Yeah, you can do it anywhere. It's jacking up a car, driving it up a little ramp. It's quick. But the idea comes. That's where the idea is born, in the shower. And mobile oil. So then I started thinking to myself, okay, what can I do to make the name attractive? So I start giving that thought, and the idea of mobile oil Miami. Actually, it was mobile oil at first. I added the Miami later after speaking to one of my ACN reps, John Ventura. He's like, man, you should try to take over locally by adding Miami. So that's when I added Miami. But the idea was that when people would search me for mobile, right, with an E at the end after mobile, people would assume or make a connection to the mobile oil gas station. That's what happened.
Piggybacking, man. That's marketing 101.
Piggybacking. I piggybacked off the name of mobile, the gas station, just with an E at the end.
Did you use the same colors as them or something?
No, I didn't want to get sued.
Right.
I didn't want to get sued.
All right.
So I changed the font too. I didn't get that
Okay.
that into it. But Mobile Oil Miami. And so Mobile Oil Miami is born. Again, this is a business. It takes money. So yes, I have a truck, but what else could I do? So in the daytime, I was building my business, but at nighttime, 7 nights a week, I was working at a job. So I was a bouncer at Rockwell nightclub in South Beach, 4 nights out of the week. And 3 nights out of the week, I was working back at AutoZone, which was a very humbling experience for me, to put my ego to the side and say, let me make money, let me produce money at night so I can build my business in the daytime and go back to the company that I essentially turned my back on.
Right.
And they gave me a second opportunity. And so I go back to AutoZone. I'm working 3 nights out of the week. And it's about a 45-minute drive from my house. And I'm also working at South Beach, which is another 45 minutes. So 7 nights out of the week, I'm working.
Wow.
Working from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the club from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. at AutoZone, 7 nights out of the week. And I have the idea, Mobile Oil Miami, but it takes time to attract the right business. Long story short, Amazon contacts me. There's a distribution center right across the street from the Miami airport. That's my first bigger deal. I land them. I'm doing about 50 trucks in about a day. I want to say a full day.
Are they providing the place for you to come and do the trucks, or how's that work?
So it's mobile. So I came to their place of business, their parking spots, and I would do their oil changes there. And so that was my first one. And so once I saw that I was capable of doing 50 oil changes in one location, then I started promoting that, taking photos. Instagram was relatively newer at the time.
No, but I remember you being really active when you were doing that.
Exactly. Documentation, for anybody who's in business or trying to be in business, everything is important. So I would document everything. I'll promote it. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin did one of my first promotion videos, and he also recorded me at the Amazon site. And he helped me record this whole video. And we put it out there and promoted it on Instagram. And so that attracted more buyers later on. Eventually, after working Mobile Oil Miami, I land a consistent 60 cars a week with Avis Budget, the rental car company.
Wow.
And Avis Budget contacted me because of my name. So I was intentional about the name, and now the name was intentional on me. It came back the way I believed it would. And so they contacted me because they assumed that I was Mobile, the oil, the mobile gas station.
Right.
And so they contacted me. I came to their office. They asked me, they were kind of interviewing me, but they were ready to go. If I had trucks ready to go, and this is the No BS podcast, but I had to BS them. I had to say, yeah, of course, we have 5 trucks. We're here to service all your vehicles.
You were, fake it till you make it. Faith it till you make it, right? You would have it.
I would have it. Faith it, fake it. Faith it, fake it till you make it. Call it, what it was. But I had to pretty much.
I got a better one. Ready?
Yeah.
Act as if.
Act as if.
There you go.
There you go. Act as if. Exactly. So I acted as if, and again, looked at them in the eyes. They told me, this is what we need. And I said, I could service you. No worries. We'll make it happen. And so from there, we have a route.
Was this just, did you, like when you did Amazon and now getting into Avis, clearly they're giving you a lot of work, right? But are you doing one at a time, or would they call you and say, hey, we got 4 trucks that need to be, so is it just you by yourself?
Yeah.
Did you have to hire help? How did that work out?
So with Amazon, it was me, my dad, and a friend of mine.
Okay, cool.
So that was a once every 3 months type of situation. With Avis Budget, it was 60 cars a week. And so at the time, it's just me. And I remember thinking, okay, they're going to give me 60 cars a week. How am I going to do this? Faith it till you make it. But at this point, you have to produce. Now there's pressure. Now there's pressure to produce 60, to effectively do 60 oil changes every single week. And where do I find the help? And where do I find the oil? Who can give me money for the oil that I don't have? Who can give me the money for the filters that I don't have? And what system am I going to set up that I can effectively do 60 cars a week without stopping? Mind you, I also have 2 jobs that I work at night. And so at that moment, I made an executive decision and I fired myself from AutoZone again. Right? So I fired myself from AutoZone. I'm only working at the club 4 nights a week. And now I'm able to figure out how I'm going to do these 60 cars a week with Avis Budget. And so in the beginning, it was extremely difficult because I couldn't find the right person. I had friends and friends of friends that played a pivotal role in not letting me die by myself, but they weren't the right people for this job.
They were the right person for the moment, but not for the long haul.
Exactly. Eventually, a friend of mine referred me to somebody who had came from Guatemala, and I helped him out. He helped me out, and we had a great relationship that started in 2018, and I want to say it lasted all the way up until March of 2020.
Okay.
Do you remember why?
COVID.
That's right. So in January of 2020, COVID happens. That was in March, but in January, Avis Budget calls me and says, hey, we can't tell you why, but our contract is done. And so I'm like, just with them alone, it's 60 cars a week. Then I have different clients that are calling me. And
why do you think they said we can't tell you why?
I didn't know at the time, but 2 months later, the world shut down.
Oh, so they already knew that was happening, and they didn't want to say that because okay, I get it.
Exactly. So they couldn't give me a real clear-cut answer as to why they were going to let me go, but they just told me that they had to let me go. And so at that point, I had pivoted into another business. That business was Best Friends Frenchies, BFF.
I remember that too.
So Best Friends Frenchies was born like in 2018. And a friend of mine, also Nacien, shout out to Daryl Sanchez, he talks to me about breeding dogs and something that had never crossed my mind. But he told me, hey man, look, this is a real legit business. He showed me his numbers. And I remember I got started, but I didn't know how serious it would be. It was kind of confusing because I didn't want to have PETA come after me, or it wasn't like I was just trying to breed dogs for the money. I kind of saw it as an extra situation. But when COVID happened, it turned into a full-time business because everybody was locked home and people wanted companions. And
makes sense.
Frenchies started to get super popular at the time. And so now my wife and I, we were flying from city to city, dropping off French bulldogs and making good money out of it too. So again, the name, I was being intentional with BFF. I wanted the acronym to really pop out, and that was Best Friends Frenchies. So not Best Friends Forever, but Best Friends Frenchies. And that also attracted me the right type of client because a lot of people were in that business for selfish reasons and they wanted to make the most amount of money. And they didn't really care who the puppy went to as long as they made a lot of profits. My prices were more competitive, but they were going to amazing homes. Homes that the owners today are traveling the world with them, sending me pictures. And I go to sleep at night happy because of what I did. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that mental peace is definitely there. And then at that time, my wife, Karina, got her real estate license. So now it's like this full circle moment where now I'm getting back to real estate at this time. Karina got her license in 2020.
Which was your dream when you were young. You said you were going to make money, trading time for money, and then you would use it to invest in real estate, and now it's full circle. You're coming back into the real estate.
And so in 2020, my wife gets her license. And so she's doing great. She's learning. She's at Remax. They're giving her tools. She's learning the basics. She's making good money. So 6 figures, she's doing her thing. I'm very proud of her because that's technically her first business that she starts. And she does amazing. And I'm doing the breeding, but then there's a decline in that business. And so she has a fire in her business. And I said, well, you know what? Let me get my license and let's turn this fire into a forest fire. Let's blow it up together. And so in 2023, I got my license. So I got licensed in 2023. We worked this business together. Now she's also a mortgage loan officer. So she also assists our clients with their loans. And together, we're doing this and more,
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see, like you said, right, full circle moment. Now we're not, yes, we're trading time for money, but we're in the real estate world and we're seeing general contractors, we're meeting investors, we're meeting with architects and engineers and this whole other world that we didn't know existed. And now we're putting people together, and it's such a beautiful thing when a husband and a wife work together. We have 5 kids now.
Wow.
We have 5 kids. So a lot of people always ask us, like, how do you guys do it? You know, like right here, I'm at your podcast right now. And right now she's with the kids right now, you know, but sometimes I'll be home and she needs to go out and do something and show a client a house or something. And we're able to play ping pong back and forth, and she'll go handle something and vice versa. I'll go handle something. So it's amazing to get along and work with your companion, you know, and have that support for her, and she has that support for me as well.
What I like too is that it's all in-house, right? So now you're pretty much on the real estate end and she's pretty much on the mortgage end, right?
Correct.
And so that's 2 pieces of the same puzzle, which is great because you've got 2 chunks, not just one, right? And
Correct.
not always, but typically you would assume that if one of them, if somebody comes in through one end, there's a good chance at the other end, because of how you guys are and how you treat your people, and you know, they see that kind of treatment on whatever end they came in, they're probably going to want the same service on the other end.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. A lot of people meet us for the first time. They like the way we speak, you know, that we're trustworthy, that we're going to do good for them. And so what ends up happening is sometimes it's even 3 deals out of 1. We might help them sell their house, buy the next house, and get their loan. So every client is different. You know, their needs are different, but sometimes one person can turn into 3 paychecks.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift this a little bit.
Yeah.
What would you say is probably the craziest or funniest thing that you've ever seen happen in any of these businesses or sales career? It could be network marketing. It could be, you know, the oil business. It could be the Frenchies, whatever.
Yeah, so crazy. I want to say one of the craziest moments in being in business. I just thought about it.
It popped in your head.
Crazy moment was, I want to say, again, having the pressure to do 60 oil changes and somebody's asking you if you can get it done. And you know you can get it done, but you don't know how. So there's a lot of uncertainty playing in the back of your mind, but the front of your mind is telling you, yeah, we're going to get it done. We're going to figure it out. You know, so I think that was kind of crazy for me because I had never experienced that type of pressure. And to be working with a company like Avis Budget, you know, it was like, okay, I can't fumble this. You know, I have to make sure I get it done. So I think that's kind of crazy because I passed that test, but I didn't know how I was going to pass that test. And it was a big test, you know?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. How about money-wise? What do you think was like one of those pivotal moments where, and it could be the most money you ever made in a year or the most money you made in a week or the most money you made in a month, but like a pivotal moment where you're like, oh, wow, yeah.
So I'll tell you, when I had the oil changes going at the time, I had purchased my house in Cape Coral, and I had about $20,000 liquid cash that I had never had before. And I remember looking at this $20,000 and just being in awe, you know, like touching it, looking at it, flipping it, just like playing with it, and just not understanding how it was in my possession, but it was in my possession. And I was like, wow.
So
like,
first time you made 20 grand and you had it all together there with you in one chunk.
Not necessarily first time I made 20 grand, but 20,000 extra that I just had in my hands, cash. And I just was like, it didn't make me feel different. Like I felt like, wow, like this is amazing. But like, I realized that what I felt that day, I felt the same the day before. You know, it was just 20,000 in my hand. So that was an aha moment for a couple of reasons because, again, I had never experienced having 20,000 cash in my hand, and it was like a surreal moment. But then I also realized, like, it's just 20,000 cash. I'm not sure if I'm able to really articulate what I'm trying to say, but it was like an aha moment. I'm here. I got 20 grand cash. I'm going to have another 20 coming. You know, next time will be 40. But it wasn't like, I don't want to diminish the money. Like, I don't want to take the value away from it because at the end of the day, it was 20,000. Who wouldn't want to have 20,000? But it was also like, I feel the same. It doesn't make me feel any
Right. It doesn't
better
change you
or any less. Yeah. So that was one of my first aha moments.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about you've got a team. So clearly when we were in network marketing, we went through a lot of personal development and a lot of like sales training and stuff like that. And that helped you with some of the other businesses, right? But now it's not just you selling anymore. It's you having a team.
Correct.
And in a certain way, responsible for the team. I mean, everybody's got their own business and everybody's responsible for themselves and making money for themselves. But, you know, you've got a team that now you train up and you're bringing up to that level, much like we did when we were in the network marketing anyway, right?
Right.
Do you have any kind of routines that you do or training? Like, do you do training with them every once in a while? Or are there any kind of morning routines or weekly routines that you follow to keep everybody sharp and on point and yourself, you know?
Right. So that's a great question. In everything, right, like we mentioned in network marketing, we have mentors. And so now getting into the conversation of real estate, being licensed, and we were at Remax I was at Remax for 6 months. Karina was there for like 5 years. I realized that the leadership there wasn't giving me what I was requesting. And so I looked at the 5 top income earners that were bringing in over $250 a year. And I saw that they treated their business like a business, but everybody else, 100K earners and less, were treating it as a job. And what I mean by that is they had their book of business, they had referrals coming to them, they had listings, which is people that want to sell their homes, versus everybody else was being fed leads. And when you're being fed a lead as a realtor, there's a cut that you have to take, and it's not negotiable, and it's a lot less than you would if it's a commission based off your own acquisition.
Sure, because they gave you that lead. You didn't have to find it yourself.
Exactly. And so what ends up happening is that I look for mentorship online. I started looking for mentorship, and I find a gentleman by the name of Ricky Caruth. And Ricky Caruth is out of Alabama, but he was the #1 agent in his MLS for 7 years in a row. I looked up his numbers.
That's impressive.
Bringing over $1 million per year in those 7 years. And so I like, hey, you're going to be in Miami, coincidentally, which I don't believe in coincidences. But again, he's at the Don Shula Hotel. He has an event.
At the Don Shula
Hotel.
For those of you that don't know, a lot of our network marketing meetings back then used to happen at the Don Shula Hotel.
Nights.
So there's a lot more. There's coincidences on top of coincidences here.
Right.
All right.
I call it destiny.
Yeah.
But boom, destiny brings me back to the Don Shula Hotel. So once we're there, I hear him talk, you know, and I'm like, hey, man, let me ask you a question. I'm looking for mentorship. You know, I'm okay where I'm at, but I know I can be better. You know, 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. There's a production limitation, and I'm looking for a mentor. And he's like, well, we'll talk, you know, I'll give you some more information. And I end up finding out that he's part of EXP. I had no idea who EXP was. I found out through him. And so I joined his organization. And so being a part of his organization has given me opportunity to not only be a producer, but to also lead others into production. So currently is just my wife, myself, and a newer realtor by the name of Yenis.
Mm-hmm.
She's a property manager, but now she's also getting into real estate. So she just got her license into EXP. And so now we're coming up with solutions to help her taproot her network. And for those of you that don't know what taproot is, it's just when you have let's say a family member or friend, and you get to know their closest family member or friend, and then you get to know the next person's family member or friend. And so when you can connect 4, 5, 6, 7 layers of trust,
Mm-hmm.
that first person that talk to, now you can reference 6, 7 names, and then now there's even more trust.
Right.
And so shout out to Dairo. He's the one that started the taprooting in ACN. And so
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
yeah. He's the one that brought that up. Yeah. So at that point, so now to answer your question, again, working with Ricky, I'm able to have weekly Zoom calls with my team, which is just 2 for the moment. But we're focused on finding other agents in other cities that are looking to be 6-figure plus income earners, or if they are 6-figure income earners, going to 7 and 8.
Why not?
Sky's the limit.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. So I always like to finish my podcast with this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And the scenario is you've got 5 kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So imagine your 5 kids are already in their 20s.
Okay.
They've gotten into sales, whether it's real estate or something else, but they're somewhere within the sales industry. They're good, really good, just not great yet, right? What kind of advice would you give them?
So I would say that the ultimate business wisdom comes from the Bible. And I believe that we should all be confident in ourselves, because if we're here, it's for a reason, right? So if, let's say, one of my kids are good but not great,
Mm-hmm.
I would tell them to remember who they are, to look at themselves in the mirror and remember that they're a child of God, the ultimate creator of everything. And if the ultimate creator created you, then you have a special purpose in this planet. You have something that you need to do. You have a mission to accomplish. And just look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm a child of God. And that's going to be the answer.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
I like that. Guys, my name is Coach Ceelo, and I have helped thousands of other people reach, attain, and maintain 6 figures. You keep listening to me, you'll be the next. We're out of here.
That's right.